Hey everybody, I'm meteorologist Gavin Sandell. Well, apart from switching from hot to cold, the annual switch in seasons also brings another shift you might not know about. As we head to winter, we lose the consistency too. And in order to drive home the point of consistency, let's talk about the days that are inconsistent, aka the record days. And in 2025, we've had 3 of them, either maximum high temperatures or minimum low temperatures. So we're going to investigate them, and you're going to notice a trend. We've had 2 record lows and a record high, both those record lows happening in the winter. In January, we had a low temperature of -10, almost 30 degrees below average, and a similar form there in December, 23 degrees below average. In the summer, it was very hot, 94 degrees. However, the departure was only 11 degrees above average, which is a little bit different than in the winter. So you might notice a trend there that the high in the summer was more moderate than the lows in the winter. And that's not just a coincidence, there's something behind that. In order to drive home the point further, here's a graph of all of the temperatures during the year. You can see those blue bars, that's the observed temperature throughout the year. During the summer, this line looks much more structured. You know, there's not too many waves, although if you go to the winter towards the start of the year, there's a lot of zigzags, there's a lot of waves, which means there's a lot of volatility during the winter compared to the summer. And in order to investigate that, let's see what happens from the heat source, the sun. And we're going to see, this is the Earth, or the sun, excuse me, bringing all that heat over to the Earth, and this is Earth tilted during the summer. Remember, Earth tilts on its axis, which is the basis for seasons. So during the summer, all of the northern hemisphere gets heat from the sun, all of it is sunny. Compare that to the winter, though, when the Earth is tilted from the southern hemisphere, and that's not the case. Remember, portions north of the Arctic Circle don't get the sun for most of the time during the winter. So you're going to have a much tighter temperature gradient. And temperature gradients are the basis of how the jet stream forms. So during the summer, when you have a weak temperature gradient, you have weak jets. The polar jet is the most important one, and there's not too much of a strong jet because there's not that much of a temperature gradient. So jet, we don't really talk about that during the summer. However, during the winter, then things really ramp up. The jet, it does 3 things. It gets stronger, it moves further south, and it gets much more wavier. We have more of those troughs, and we have more of those ridges as well, which can be a huge volatility inducer during the winter. So there's 3 things really that the jet stream does. First thing that, like I said, is faster. And when you have a faster jet, that's the thing that steers the low pressure systems. We can have systems that go in and out of an area in just a day or so compared to, like stagnant rain systems during the summertime. Also, when you have a wavy jet, you can have those steep temperature swings from low pressure systems. So you can have a place that is well above average from a ridge the first day, and then the next day you could be well below the average from a trough in a low pressure system the next day. Also, temperatures during the summer, they're conducive to rain. And, if you're 70 degrees, give or take 10 degrees, you're going to get rain no matter what. But if you're 35 degrees during the winter time, give or take 10 degrees, you could get rain, you could get snow, sleet, freezing rain, the whole kitchen sink basically. So there's a lot of things that go on during the winter, and that's caused by the jet. That makes things so much more volatile and unpredictable. But while I will admit it has been consistently cold over the last week and a half, Mother Nature will be switching gears pretty soon, with highs potentially switching from the 20s to the 50s in the matter of 3 days. For Weather 101, I'm Gavin Sandell.